Hi, it's Nick from the Run Testers, and this is our review of the Sony LinkBuds. So the Sony LinkBuds are a unique set of new headphones with, a very distinctive design, which is that they are the headphones with the hole, the polo headphones, where the kind of ring driver that sits nearest your ear canal has a hole in it, basically to allow external noise in. It basically makes these a new option in the kind of realm of open headphones, which has traditionally been dominated by basically bone conduction headphones like those from Shokz, or kind of in-ear buds that have like a transparency mode, but to try and filter in some external sounds. They cost £149 in the UK or $179 in the US. So the buds are very small and light. They weigh just 4.1 grams a piece, and they come with 5 sets of silicone wings to try and help you get a good fit. Those kind of jab up inside the ear to hold the buds in place when you're doing things like running or cycling or anything like that. There's a 12mm driver in the ring to kind of power the sound, and the buds have an IPX4 rating, so they're kind of splash proof. They will kind of see off sweat and rain, but they're not fully waterproof. You can tap the outside of the buds to control playback using either 2 or 3 taps on each side, or you can actually tap your cheekbones. You can set up a setting where you can tap there instead of on the headphones themselves, and they will register the controls. There's also some other automatic controls. They can adjust the volume automatically depending on how loud your environment is. If you take the headphones out and then put them back in, they will kind of pause and then play. And there's also a speak to chat feature, which is very cool, where if you have that enabled and you start talking, the headphones will automatically pause the music so you can have a conversation with someone without having to take them out. The case is obviously very small, as you can see here. It has a USB-C slot on the back there for charging it, and kind of an LED on the front that will indicate whether it's charging and what the battery level is. The buds also support Sony's 360 reality audio, which aims to create more immersive sound. Obviously there's only so much you can do with sound with this kind of open design, but this kind of involves having your ear shape analysed by taking photos to try and create the right sound profile for you. You can also control the EQ in the partner app, using things like bass boost and that kind of thing. You get 5.5 hours of battery when it comes to music playback on the buds themselves. That drops to 2.5 if you're using them for phone calls and that kind of thing. And then there's another 12 hours of battery in the case, so it brings up to 17.5 hours of battery. A 10-minute charge will net you 90 minutes of playback. That's the quick charge feature you're getting here. So I was really excited about the LinkBuds. The design looks very interesting, and I thought it would provide like a good middle ground between kind of in-ear buds that obviously sound pretty good, and then open headphones like the Shokz range, which obviously provide great awareness but kind of lack in sound. It kind of did deliver on that promise. You are very much aware of your surroundings, that's for sure, but the sound still does suffer a bit with this design, as we'll kind of come on to in other sections. In terms of awareness though, I can say that you're getting pretty much just the same as you get from a set of Shokz headphones. When wearing these, I'd hear my surroundings very clearly, whether it's someone talking to me or on busy roads, that kind of thing. It does work very well, and there's lots of settings when that is useful, not just running, but when you're cycling, or even just in an office, or when you're with someone and you don't want to unintentionally ignore them because you can't hear them because of your headphones. I also found the fit very comfortable. I could wear these for long periods without any problems. I selected one of the larger wings to really make sure I had a tight and secure fit for running and cycling, but they still didn't hurt my ears if I used them for kind of 4 or 5 hours at a time. So yeah, I really like the fit. They are very lightweight. You do kind of forget they're there. Like I took them out for runs just when I wasn't listening to any music, just to kind of have them in while I was with a friend to check the awareness, and yeah, they're just really comfortable. You almost forget you're wearing them. But I know that fit hasn't been perfect for everyone, but yeah, they've been really good for me, and I prefer this kind of style of in-ear headphone with awareness opposed to using the Shokz headphones. The Shokz headphones are very comfortable, like earhook ones are, and you kind of do forget they're on, but as someone who wears glasses and wears a hat often for running, this is kind of less intrusive. You don't have to kind of juggle all that stuff around the top of your ear.
So in terms of design, fit and controls, what I will say about the LinkBuds, I mean, it's fair to say these are utterly bonkers in terms of their look. Sony have got previous with this. They have done some kind of out there kind of, wearable kind of earbuds, truly wireless earbuds. The LinkBuds are the same. They don't look like they're meant to sit in your ears, I don't think. That's what the design feels, but they will work. And I think the key thing is you really have to play around with the tips, the silicone tips that you get with them. I think more so than any other buds that I've tried, because the first couple I tried, they fell out a couple of times. Didn't quite get, didn't sit quite comfortably in the ears, or snug enough. When I went and kind of ran in the rain one day, they kind of started to slip around as well. Once I did find a pair of tips that did work and kept them in place, They were really, really good for me. They're nice and light. They're comfortable to wear. I've worn them on kind of hour plus runs and not had any issues in terms of discomfort. I think, if you can get the fit, and I think you really do have to play around, you will get something that will work. And, they're very discreet to wear, even though they look a bit bizarre. They do sit there quite nicely. And, you've got that IPX for sweat and water resistance ratings. You've got some extra protection there, which generally you find in more expensive buds as well, around this price as well. In terms of that sound quality, I would say best way to describe them is they sound like a very good pair of bone conduction headphones. So things that you would get from Shokz, they're kind of top end pair. That means, you're not getting great amounts of kind of power and bass, but you are getting very good in terms of the kind of clarity and detail. I think it offers a very natural sound. And actually, I was pretty surprised how well they sounded when you kind of factor in, they're designed for letting you hear, sounds around you, but also letting you hear your music or audio as well. I found them pretty loud as well, but ultimately, when you're outdoors running, kind of wind, that kind of extra noise, they can kind of struggle a little bit, but it's not as bad as I thought they would be. It wasn't to the point where I found them frustrating to use and I didn't want to use them outside, but you do have to battle a little bit with the wind, and there's no real kind of tech on board to kind of reduce that kind of wind kind of impact as well. Now you do have some EQ modes, some kind of custom ones and preset ones in the Sony headphones app, so you can get a more versatile sound depending on what you're listening to. So you can get a little bit of that bass, but it's not going to be huge amounts. But I do think you can get some really nice sound from these headphones. Actually, I was very surprised how well they actually sound in terms of, they are Sony headphones, and Sony have some really strong, truly wireless earbuds in their range. These don't match up to that, but I think they do pretty well in general anyway. So for me, the sound quality for audio, for general music, call quality, I think is very good as well on that front. I thought they were all very good considering, the compromise you have to make with these types of earbuds.
So the awareness you do get with LinkBuds does come at a cost in terms of sound quality, and especially kind of in the lower ranges. Like when I was outside, you do really lose the bass on your music. Even if you select bass boost in the partner app, you're just not getting that much power with these. And there are certainly occasions when I did struggle to hear audio on them, like when I was running by a busy road and it was a windy day. Even just a windy day down at the track, you do kind of lose the lower ranges, like so whether that's music, kind of the bassy end of music, or if I was listening to a podcast and the people on it had quite deep voices, it was much harder to hear them. Like I could still quite hear higher voices and the higher ranges of music quite well, but yeah, it's the same problem as you have with Aftershokz. All that awareness does just mean it's harder to hear your music, basically. When you're inside and, when you are listening to music in quieter environments outside, it's nice, clear, there's a good kind of depth there in terms of the music playback, and it's enjoyable to listen to, but it does lack a bit of power, and it certainly lacks a bit of oomph in the lower ranges. So, but as someone who generally listens to podcasts on the run, they work perfectly well. Like I will say that, when I'm running in the woods near me or on the kind of quieter suburban roads, it's great. It's a really nice balance of awareness and sound, and there's a lot of scenarios where these are more or less the perfect headphones for me, especially as the fit is so good. So yeah, overall I'd say they do sound better than bone conduction headphones for me. I think you're getting a little bit more kind of power and clarity than you get from things like Shokz or Nyanka headphones, but they still fall quite a long way short of what you get from in-ear buds, even at substantially lower prices than £150. Like you can pick up, sub £50 headphones that sound better than this.
In terms of battery life, you're getting 5.5 hours. That's off a single charge. That's pretty much what I found. You can definitely get more battery life from cheaper buds, even the kind of JLab, the £20 JLab earbuds that we tested recently, that has 8 hours. So it's very much short in terms of the competition around it, and also much cheaper buds as well. I would say that's what I got from it. You do have that quick charge feature, which gets you kind of 90 minutes of play time from kind of 10 minutes for charge. So you can get through a week of training once you use that, and you've got that kind of charging case, or the case charged up essentially. It's a really nice small case as well. I find, I much prefer these kind of smaller, more pocket friendly cases. And if you wanted to put it in a running belt, which I have done, and a couple of them, they've been absolutely fine to use. So for me, on the battery life, not class leading, good enough. I wish there was more battery life, but you do have that quick charge feature to kind of, make up for those kind of short battery numbers that you are getting here on these buds.
So 5.5 hours of battery life isn't a lot, obviously, but they do live up to that for me. Like, I've had them pretty much at max volume for most of the time when using them on the run, and it still works out at around 5.5 hours. And I think, they're not exceptional for battery life, and the case doesn't hold very much, because it is so small, but they're fine. And the quick charge feature means that even if you're caught short, that kind of 10-minute charge will get you an hour and a half, which is enough for most runs in the week. So I love the controls on the Sony LinkBuds. Generally, I find in-ear headphones with like touch panels and that kind of thing quite hard and annoying to control on the run, but the kind of innovative features here really do work very well. I love the tap the cheek, basically, is the one I really like. That I think works really reliably on the run or at home, and it's it's among the best kind of headphones controls I've come across lately. Even better than having a physical button, which is my usual preference on headphones. Now, there's not that much customization here. You can only kind of set what you get, kind of two controls on either side, a double tap and a triple tap, and you can kind of choose what they are, but it was enough for me to get basically all the commands I needed. So I have play, pause and skip track on the right headphone, and then volume up and down on the left, and those are all the key ones for me. I don't tend to activate voice assistances and that kind of thing on the run anyway, so yeah, it worked out really well for me, the controls. I will say that, and the other innovations are good too. Like, speak to chat is genuinely quite impressive and useful. Problem is that if I'm listening to music, I will start singing along at some point, and then my music pauses, so I had to disable that feature, unfortunately.
In terms of controls, I will have to say I thought it was going to be an absolute disaster with these. They're kind of gesture controls where you kind of basically tap on your face, essentially between the kind of front of your ears, and that can taps, double taps, triple taps, kind of change music, play and pause. There's more features you can kind of customize in the Sony companion app as well. I thought it was going to be an absolute disaster, but actually they worked pretty well. They were pretty responsive. I've used kind of gesture kind of support controls before in AirBuds. I think the Braggy Dash was one of the first that I tried them on, and didn't quite work for me on those. On here, they work pretty well out on the run. I found them okay in terms of kind of tapping to kind of stop and skip through tracks. Like I said, you can customize the controls in the app as well. And once you find that sweet spot, I think, and you learn to understand or remember where that sweet spot is, I think the controls or these kind of gesture controls work pretty well. And it also means, when you're not tapping away on the buds themselves, you don't risk maybe knocking them out of place, even though you do get a kind of very reliable fit anyway. And that's kind of a good thing there from that point of view. You're not fussing around with the fits. Essentially, you're playing around with the area around it. So Sony does put a lot of smart features, or pack a lot of smart features into these AirBuds, which I was surprised to find. The one that I kind of would pick out that I think works really nicely is the speak to chat feature. So that is essentially, once you enable it in the app, that will allow you to basically, you have a conversation with these AirBuds in, it will pause the music while the AirBuds are still in, and when you finish chatting, it will play your music again. It's a really simple thing, but it actually worked pretty well for me in terms of my testing. And if you're the kind of person who wears your AirBuds kind of 24/7 or throughout the day and you don't want to take them off, and you're in an office and listening to music and having a conversation, or outside as well, would have to break into a conversation, that I found it worked really nicely. It reacted to the kind of speech and kind of when you ended your conversation. So the speak to chat feature, really nice feature. I didn't know or didn't think I would need it or find it that particularly useful, but I think it's a really nice extra on the Sony LinkBuds.
So kind of about 90% of the time, the LinkBuds are kind of the perfect headphones for me. They really fit my use case scenario very well, which is that I run mostly in kind of busy but not excessively loud environments, and I like to listen to podcasts. And even when I'm at home working or in the office working, I like to be able to hear what's going on around me. And in all those occasions, the LinkBuds are perfect because, they have a good, clear audio profile for podcasts. And when I'm out in the forest or just running around the suburbs, it's great. I've got the perfect balance of being able to hear my surroundings and hear my podcast. And then even in those situations, it's good for music as well. They're not, outstandingly loud or anything like that, but, the music playback is fine. Problem is, there are times when they fall short, and when they do, they kind of really fall short. So when I did go for a busy run by a really busy road, when it was windy, I just couldn't really hear anything. And the same actually happened on the day at the track, which obviously had no cars, but it was just very windy, and I did kind of start missing bits of my podcast, or the music wasn't really coming through, and that will make them not great for lots of people who have to have that situation a lot. So if you're someone who always listens to music on the run and really wants that kind of powerhouse music, especially with the bassy profile, they're not going to work that well for you then. I think you might be better going for in-ear headphones with a transparency mode and just activating that occasionally when you are worried about external awareness. So there are times when during a hard run by, where I do, the busiest road I run by is usually for hard sessions, and when I want to lock in with, a powerhouse Moana-based playlist, these just aren't cutting it in terms of the kind of volume and kind of punch you're getting from them. I will say they're better than bone conduction headphones on that front for me. I prefer the fit of these, the feel of these, the kind of less clutter around your ears, and I think the music and the sound quality is just a little bit better as well, but they're not a huge amount better. On the kind of sound, awareness and sound quality spectrum, they're still tilted very much towards awareness, and that's the case for pretty much all designs that leave your ears completely clear. So the other option you could look at, which I kind of like to do, is open fit style headphones, which are things like the Apple AirPods or the Huawei FreeBuds 4 that kind of sit in the ear but don't go into your ear canal. They still allow a little bit of awareness, less than this or bone conduction headphones, obviously. You can hear your surroundings reasonably well, and you get a lot better sound quality, basically. The AirPods and FreeBuds aren't the best sounding headphones in the world, but they do offer more punch and power than these, and they sound really quite good, I think, for music and podcasts, while allowing a degree of kind of awareness. So that is another option if you are trying to find the exact spot on that awareness sound quality spectrum. They're tilted more towards sound quality, but if you still want really good sound, you are going to have to go to in-ear buds and kind of work out awareness in a different way. And one last thing to say is that when it comes to comparing them to bone conduction headphones, Shokz in particular have an advantage, which I think they are the only headphones allowed at a lot of UK races which aren't on closed roads, like it's in the rules. So no rules are going to be updated because of the LinkBuds. They're still quite a niche product. So if that is a concern when it comes to racing, you're very worried about being disqualified, then the Shokz do have a little bit of an edge there.
So for me on these Sony LinkBuds is that, I wasn't expecting to like these at all, I'll be perfectly honest. I mean, I think there's so many earbuds, do Sony need to reinvent the wheel or try and create something different? But then when you think about it, there is more of an appetite for those kind of open air design headphones, particularly for races, when you want to be aware of what's around you. Shokz seems to be the only, or the most popular option. There are some cheaper versions out there. They're all the kind of same kind of neckband or headband kind of style design. So with these, I think they're offering you a similar sound profile, but in a more discreet form factor, which I really like. Ultimately, they were really comfortable. I found them really light to wear. I found you could wear them all the time. Once you get those tips, the right tips on them, I think you get a really good secure fit as well. The sound was good. I quite like the smart extras that you're getting there as well. The price seems about right. I definitely think maybe they should be a little bit cheaper. But ultimately, there's not really much out there that kind of compares with it in terms of what it offers. I mean, there are kind of Bose's kind of sport open kind of headphones, which we've not been able to test because they're only available in the US and not come to the UK yet. So maybe that could be an option that might go up against this and might offer a bit more in terms of a sports friendly design. But in terms of what I experienced, if I was looking to do a race where I wanted to be more aware of my surroundings, I would actually probably go for these over the Shokz, just because I prefer something that's smaller to wear in terms of headphones. And while the Shokz headphones and a lot of the bone conduction headphones are very light to wear, I kind of like the fact that these are tiny and really discreet. I much prefer having that without having something kind of actually on my head. And the controls work really well, which I wasn't really expecting. So for me, it's Sony LinkBuds, a real bit of a surprise story for me, actually, in terms of how I got on with these, what I think of them. And actually, I think not a bad option for someone who wants kind of those kind of awareness style headphones, but actually wants them from a kind of truly wireless earbud style form factor.
That's it, guys. That's our review of the Sony LinkBuds headphones. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Are you really worried about awareness on the run? Are you desperately seeking a solution to this awareness sound quality conundrum like we are? Please like, subscribe, ring the little bell, and yeah, we will see you next time on the Run Testers.